Let us prepare in mind, body, and spirit for our service today. Today's reading comes from The Money Keys by Reverend Karen Russo. Money symbolizes something to each one of us. That something is its meaning in our lives. Meaning captures our entire framework of ideas, thoughts, feelings, and responses in how we interpret, relate to, and encounter life. Our meaning creates our experience of reality. Many people attach more intense emotion, superstition, and unrealistic meaning to money than almost any other area of our lives. The reason this is important to understand is that we are choosing the meaning we attach to our financial lives. We choose. As divine, spiritual, eternal beings expressing in human experience, we choose. We can change that meaning about money into anything we want. We have the power to choose our reactions, interpretations, attitudes, and responses. We can make our meaning about money into positive, inspiring, empowering, joyous, free, and creative expression. We get to choose. And if you would, please go into the silence for a few moments with me. And centered right here, right now, in this moment of immense love and intense gratitude, I am knowing that this service is in perfect divine right order, that there is a beauty, a perfection, a power that moves in and through and as each and every one of us, that this is a blessed time together. This is a time of inspiration, of insight, and of healing, and of renewal. And I'm knowing that Reverend Karen is divinely blessed, divinely guided, uplifted, and supported. And the words that flow through her are the words of pure spirit, the words of healing, love, and peace, and power, and empowerment. And I'm knowing that this music ministry is so beautifully and divinely blessed, and our children in the back are blessed. As each and every one of us here, I know that each and every one of us here are so immensely blessed right here, right now, in this moment. And I give thanks. I give thanks. And so be it, and so it is. Amen.
It's my pleasure today to introduce our guest speaker for today, Reverend Karen Russo. She's coming to us from Phoenix, Arizona area. You can think of her as your spiritual guide in wealth. She's the award-winning author of The Money Keys, Unlocking Peace, Freedom, and Real Financial Power. And she's a co-author, along with Jack Canfield and Marie Diamond, of the best-selling book, Strategies for Success. Most recently, Karen was selected as the featured contributor to Think and Grow Rich for Women, collaborating with Sharon Lechter. Reverend Karen is passionate about showing both professional and spiritual seekers exactly how to overcome the blocks that she calls money traps, and create personal and business lives where we are peaceful, creative, generous, prosperous, and free. Please help me in giving a warm welcome to Reverend Karen Russo.
Well, good morning, beloveds.
Good morning.
Well, you're spiritual beings having a human experience. Have you heard that? Does Reverend Cece tell you that? Okay. Thank you. And how many of you believe it? Let's see. Oh, okay. We've got believers in the group. Thank you. Well, have you noticed that as a spiritual being expressing in the human dimension, that if you and I have any stuff about money, whether it's fear or overwhelm or anger or resentment or upset or mess, if we have any stuff about money, we're less strong with expressing our spiritual magnificence. Has anybody noticed that? Okay, just a couple of you. Well, thank you. Me too. And really, that's what we're going to be taking a look at, is if this is an area of our human expression that causes us spiritual challenges, what is it that we can adopt or embrace that's going to help us be more empowered, more being the reflection that we've been singing about this morning, more strong in our expression of the divine? So that's where we're headed. And I'm going to share with you this morning a fresh way of thinking about money, which was included in the reading, a fresh way of being more empowered about how you think about money, a way to think about who you are and to have the power of using yourself as your own inspiration, and then also a way to really embrace the God idea. You know, what does God want for us with money? Like a fresh way of thinking about that. So that's where we're headed here. What I've loved about being here this morning is I can see that you're a community that's pretty much, when you get an invitation, you say yes. So are you willing to do an exercise to see how empowered you are about money? If the answer is yes, tell me. Yes. That's what I thought it would be. We're going to give you an opportunity to experience how powerful your consciousness is about money. And we'll begin by asking everybody, and you can play in or you can pass, whatever works for you, is to physically put your hands on something that represents your money life. So go ahead and dig into your purse or wallet or, oh sir, that's not your neighbor's wallet there. Oops. What I have pulled out is my Mileage Plus Visa card because I travel a ton, so this represents a lot about my business and my travel. But go ahead and put your paws on checkbook, rich lover that brought you here this morning. Yeah, look at that. They got two of them over there. So go ahead and you're touching something that represents your money life. And I want you to just, if you will, really think clearly about your current financial circumstances. So allow yourself to think about the monies that flow, what you own, what you owe, what kind of work, business, profession you have, investments, etc. Just think about your own financial circumstances. Bring your attention a little bit to yourself. And we're going to do 2 reflections. And after each one, I'm going to ask you, if you want to call out your reactions. The first reflection: compare your situation to someone that you think is doing better than you financially. So it could be the neighbor down the block who appears to have nicer car, school for their kids, etc. It could be someone on the news who appears to have more, someone at work who appears to have it together. Let yourself do this reflection. Compare your financials to someone you think is better. Notice what feelings or thoughts come up. Don't judge them. And if you're willing, let's hear a couple people just call out, what are your feelings or thoughts that come up in this comparison? Self-conscious. Let's hear a couple more. Fear, jealousy. It's not fair.
Feel left out.
Left out. Admire.
Missing out.
Okay, missing out. Okay. Respect. Intimidated. Okay. All right, thank you for that. So shake that off. That was round 1. And now you're still holding your money, what represents your financials. Now, some of you might have a day trading thing going on and your financials have changed a lot in the last 20 seconds, but most of us probably remain the same. So your situation hasn't changed, but this time the reflection is, I'd like you to compare, let yourself do it, compare to someone you think is doing worse than you. So it could be a neighbor, a coworker. It could be one of the billion people on planet Earth who does not have a clean water and a safe place to sleep tonight. So go ahead and let yourself do it. Compare your situation to someone that you think is worse off financially. Notice the feelings and thoughts that emerge. And if you will, let's hear a few of those get called out. Grateful. Blessed. Universe says yes. Guilty. Compassionate. Okay. All right, well, shake that one off and go ahead and put your money substance back. And sir, that could be your wallet or your neighbor's. And what did you notice about this? Your situation didn't change, but what did change? Yeah, perception, reflection, what it felt like. So there isn't that there's a right answer or a wrong answer, but just notice how quickly your perception can change. So this is an idea that might seem, it's simple, but really powerful. Money, the digits on the screen, the how many pieces of paper you have, what it says on the statements. Money, those things are essentially neutral. They literally do not mean anything except what you and I say that they mean. I was just, this is the end of like a 5-day traveling, which has been wonderful. And a night or two ago, I was in Windsor, Ontario at a women's networking event doing a talk like this. And we were selling books and stuff, and people gave me Canadian 20s and other things. So they were blue and they were green, and I didn't have my glasses on, and it was like, oh, pretty, but I had no idea what it meant. And I thought, really, money is neutral. It's just it's like, oh, that's, it's like the color for sure. It's like pretty. Yeah. So in some ways, that kind of freedom can be very empowering, which is, you look at the screen, and if you're comparing the digits that you have to the fact that, I'm going to be a little bit direct with you all, hello, we're first world people with access to the internet and clean water and freedoms that many others don't have. So this is me getting all up in our faces here. But I want to be a little bit direct, is that sometimes what happens is we have the same emotional intensity about money that doesn't really have a rational connection to how blessed we are. We make the meaning about how much money we have and how well off we are. You and I are very powerful. So that's one thing I just want to leave you with as an empowerment around money, is that, you know what? I could look at my portfolio, my situation, how things are flowing in and out, and know that if I say I'm blessed, the universe is always going to say yes to me. All right. So that's our first idea. Money's neutral, meaning is powerful. You and I are the meaning makers. Now, the next idea that I find this as I travel to spiritual centers like this and other places in the world is that already, many of you have been coming here a long time, and you've been taking the Beyond Limits and the Foundations classes, you've been studying with Reverend CC, working with a practitioner, you've taken the prosperity classes. Many of you already have at least one area of your material life where you can palpably feel the presence of the divine. So think about it. Some of you have animal companions where you just know it's not Kitty, it's God, right? Or some of you are yoginis, you have a yoga practice and you can really feel like the body temple is a place to express the divine. Or you look out and you see the beautiful forest, or you go to the lake and you can see in the environment God is here. If you can have a sense of a spiritual experience in any material area, then boyfriend, girlfriend, we can do it with our money. There's an idea in the science of mind called mental equivalent. It's an Ernest Holmes idea, which says that when we pray about something, our consciousness can only reflect back to us the highest level of our understanding of a thing. And what I really want you to be able to do is use yourself as a mental equivalent. Like, just look, it's like, you know what? I had a wonderful friend of mine, a prayer partner who is a minister and a spiritual leader, is that he said, you know what I realize is for years and decades, decades and decades, I have plenty of friends. I have rich, happy, prosperous friendships. I never feel like, some of them change, they move in and out, but I never feel like there's not going to be enough. He said, I'm going to take that idea and apply it to how I grow, this part of my business where I want to have higher growth. So right now, just look around your life. Where are you already connected to, there's enough? I feel satisfied. I feel powerful. I feel grateful. And if you can do it there, use that as an analogy or best practice or mental equivalent. I can do it with my money. Does that feel good?
Yes.
Yeah. It makes it feel less like the money thing is some big thing I can't handle, and more like, wow, I've got this. In fact, why don't you go ahead and say it to yourself, you know what, I've got this. Yeah, yes you do. And then, what's the God idea? For many people around money, even for longtime spiritual seekers, there can be this worried notion a little bit that somehow, if I do it right, whatever it is, then finally, whenever then is, I will have fill in the blank amount of money that will somehow make me feel secure, safe, and free. Now, you all have been around the spiritual block. You know that the only place to feel free, spiritually secure, at one with the divine is when and where. It's here and now. This group is like, we know this. It's here and now. So just like, and this is a real important piece of all of the work that I've been doing. I've been traveling for 7 years to spiritual centers and other places sharing this message. And this is really the most profound piece of it, which in many ways, again, is pretty simple. And that is, often people think money will bring me something that I can't experience right now. But come on. It would be like if you go to a practitioner, you sit with a practitioner and someone says, I'd like a beloved relationship. And a good practitioner is going to say, of course, dear one, we will pray for your beloved relationship. And but first, they're going to ask, if they're a good practitioner, they're going to ask you a question or two, like, when you get that beloved relationship, what will that do for you? And often people will say things like, well, when I finally have that beloved partner, then I'm going to be kind and patient and take good care of myself. And we're all like, sweetheart, start now. Yeah, don't wait. That's a similar feeling around money. Because most of the time people will say, if I had more money, then I'd feel free. But you know what? If you can't have a moment of feeling free right now, Nothing outside of you will bring it to you. So I want to really anchor this idea. Spiritual source, capital S, spiritual source is infinite, eternal, loving, giving, and available to us now. We're made in its image and likeness. Connection to spiritual source is what brings, I don't want to even say brings, is what reveals the peace, the love, the freedom, the power, the joy, the things that, the qualities of God that we're looking for. So spiritual source, that's where it all is. When it comes to money, business, profession, the way that spiritual source flows to us is through material channels, little m, little c, material channels. Material channels are things of this world, like good-looking, generous lover, we got a couple of them over here, a real estate portfolio, secure job, 401k, government. These are all things that where the money flows are material channels. But even if those material channels are fabulous, are generous, are wonderful, if they are a material channel, you know this, right? They're going to have a beginning, a middle, and what else? Which means that someday they will go away. So if we think or feel or act like our security comes from the material channel, something in us, some wise part of us knows this is not true. And therefore, we will always be fearful that that material channel could leave. When the movie The Secret came out, you all will remember, everybody here saw The Secret, and it was very exciting about having the law of attraction and these kinds of ideas out in a really popular way, right? What was also interesting is if you only looked at that movie from a very surface level and you left out the idea of our divinity, it looked like the law of attraction was just necklace acquisition strategies. You know what I'm saying? Like, I see it, mama wants it, I'm going to concentrate on it and get it. And believe me, mama loves a pretty necklace, so we're not making, the things of this world, go for it. But if we're trying to get something from a material thing that it can't give us, we're always going to have that empty, hungry feeling. And one of my big teachers, Dr. Michael Beckwith, who was in The Secret, and that's where I did my ministry training, and I remember right after that movie came out, he was traveling around and people were asking him questions like, Dr. Michael, can I use these principles to get more profit in my business? And his answer was, you don't use the Spirit uses you. Yeah. Did you catch that? And that, I would say, is the real place around spiritual source and material channels. It's how does spiritual source flowing through me express itself through how I am with money? And one of the things that I've really seen is that people often are missing out on the joys of the Spirit in their financial lives now, thinking they're going to get them later. So that really is, in many ways, the big idea here is like, feel the gratitude now. Feel the plenty now. Feel a sense of freedom and choice now. Feel that now, and then you can expand it and grow it through your profession, your business, your investments. All right. So before we go to prayer, I have good news and I have bad news. Which would you like first? Bad news. These are Midwestern tough people. All right. Okay, I'm telling you, up in Canada, they were like, give me the good news. But no, you all were there. All right, the bad news. Here's the bad news. The bad news is that even if you grasp these ideas, most people, unless they really deliberately develop themselves in 3 areas, most people will just replicate the financial experiences of their past and then feel sort of crappy about it because they know these spiritual ideas that they hear about, but they don't put them into action. They'll just feel bad and kind of have the same circumstances. What do you think the good news is? Yeah, there is an answer. That's the good news. The good news is that you can, and this is really just, it's just like if you wanted to have an experience of the body temple to be fit and vital, you'd have to lift some weight. You'd have to do some stuff, right? If you want to have an up-leveled experience of these spiritual ideas pouring through your money, the good news is you can develop yourself. And what I've discovered is in 3 critical ways. And I'll tell you about them. And then this is what, for those of you that want to take a book package home or come to the workshop, this is where we'll go deeper with this. Spirituality, beliefs, and habits. Most people need to have a spiritual practice dedicated to prosperity that's really explicit. Most people need to develop their beliefs, which is thought, emotion, and conversation, so that you get out of feeling victimized and instead you're free and collaborative. And most people need to develop what I call your habits, which are your consistent actions, behaviors, and systems with money. Very interesting. Some of you are, you've been around here for a while. When for years I was a teacher and a trainer and in ministry as well, teaching other people's stuff. And then a few years ago, it became clear I would bring forth my own message. And I really just was one of these like, use me, oh God, what is mine to talk about? And at the time, what I noticed is, in the spiritual centers, people were very comfortable with the idea of an abundance consciousness. And there was a lot about the spirituality aspect, and some about our beliefs, our thought and our emotion, our conversation. And then I'd go to these wealth building workshops, and this was a few years ago. You all remember, Millionaire Mind, and 1,000 people are high-fiving, and we're all going to be real estate investors and all this. So those wealth building workshops, some of you are like, I went to some of those, right? It was all strategies. It was all habits. You're gonna, this is how you're gonna invest. This is what you're gonna do. And it was some mindset piece, but they were missing the spirituality. So what really came to me is like, let's put all 3 together, because many people, and that's why the tool that we're going to use this afternoon is called a money map, which is all 3 areas: spirituality, beliefs, and habits. And if you're not going to be at the workshop, you can take a money map home with you or put your name and email, and we'll make sure you get that stuff as a follow-up. Most people it really helps to be like, let me dig in, let me be active in this area and figure out which of these 3, all 3 are important, but where do I want to start? That often is a helpful thing. All right. Well, you're very beautiful, and you're also very strong, and you got it. Do you feel that? Yeah. All right, let's anchor this in some prayer. So let's take a breath. Release it. So we'll just allow ourselves to be completely surrendered and supported in the divine, to feel that the good of God is surrounding us. Spiritual source is the truth of who we are. We are one with the one. And God is all there is, as love and power, truth and wholeness, freedom and peace, joy and beauty. God is. I am. Each one of us is that reflection, that expression, that individuation of the one life of God. And it is from that platform of our unity in the one that I speak this word. And what I accept for every beloved who is here, everyone who sees the video and the audio, anyone who ever gets connected to today's vibration and message, I claim that each of us is expanding in our sense of our love and our purity and our wholeness and our peace. I also affirm that our thought, emotion, and conversation about ourselves, money, and the world is uplifted, and that our habits and actions and information is in circulation and vitality and flow. What I accept is that the good of God is flowing through us and in us and as us right now. I bless this beautiful center, including the beloved Reverend Cece, and just, giving her such a loving support and appreciation for who she is in God. I give thanks in advance that this word is made manifest by the action of law, and I release it. I surrender. As we all together let go and let God be God, we anchor this prayer by saying together, and so it is.
hope we can all take this opportunity to practice some gratitude as we prepare to give support to the spiritual community. Think about all of your blessings, for all that you have and all that you are and all that you give from. Think about what you receive here and take out for the rest of your lives. Through the simple practice of gratitude, we welcome more good into our lives every day. As you gratefully give, please bless the abundance of this whole community. If you will affirm with me, gratefully I give with an attitude of abundance.
Gratefully I give with an attitude of abundance.
And I know that as I give, so do I receive.
And I know that as I give, so do I receive.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Waiting for the kids to come back out. It looks like they aren't quite here yet, so I'm going to start giving some announcements here. First, if you all should notice in your bulletin this morning, the little pink thing, if you haven't done this already, we're encouraging everybody to do this cultural values survey. Just go to the web page, it's listed there, and it's very quick and easy. I just did it a couple days ago. It doesn't really take 15 minutes. Unless you're the type who stews over, am I more this or more that? More this? If you take a long time to make decisions like that, it could take the full 15 minutes, but it should be less than that. So it's really going to be helpful for the whole Centers for Spiritual Living internationally to kind of get some kind of a baseline of information about who we are and what we're about. And we've also arranged for them to give us that same information back in a microcosm for just our local centers. So that will be very helpful if people can do that, and make sure you note that you are attending Center for Spiritual Living Greater Dayton. So it's going to help all the leaders, both here and on the national level, to just understand things more. If you don't have a computer, there's copies, I think, back here by the Welcome Center. You can just fill one out, hard copy, and just leave that here. That would be great. And it is anonymous. You don't have to worry about anybody kind of track you, or I don't think it's any connected to the NSA or anything else like that. On another note, there's 3 more final spots left for the November Retreat for Mystics that Reverend Cece is going to be leading. So there was a quick rush at first when that was announced, and if you're still interested in that, there's still time for a couple more people to get in on that with one more building that they reserved. You just need a $50 deposit to actually reserve your spot, and then that will be set. And this is with school season starting up. Fall classes here are also going to be beginning in just a few weeks. Very briefly, September 8th is a self-mastery class. September 10th, Prosperity Plus 2, Harnessing Your Invisible Power. September 14th, the 5 Pillars of Spirituality. I think that's a new one. And then September 27th, there's going to be a new members class for people who are interested in been coming for a while and want to get some of the basics. So the bulletin board outside by the bookstore, you can sign up there for any of these at that point. There's lots of other information on the back of the bulletin insert. Look at the calendar there to see all the other events that are coming up. Reminder again about the workshop that Reverend Karen is doing here right after the service. It sounds like it's going to be fantastic for those of you who can do that. And finally, if you'd like some prayer after the service, you can see one of our beautiful women here with the teal or the white prayer shawls. If somebody's wearing them, that they're professional prayer practitioners to give you that gift of prayer in a 1-minute miracle. We also have a prayer chest back by the table that you can write down a prayer request and leave it there for the prayer line. numbers in the back of your bulletin for that also. And be sure to check the rest of the bulletin for other things. And here come the kids, right on cue. Yay! We're going to sing. Yes.
1, 2, 3.
You are beautiful, courageous, and wise beyond your ages. This I know for you, as I know myself. You are splendid, you're unique, with the whole world at your feet. This I know for you, as I know myself. You are brother to the flowers, and sister to the trees. This I know for you, as I know myself. With all my life within you, you are one with God, it's true. This I know for you, as I know myself. This I know for you, as I know myself. This I know for you, as I know myself.
Today, for Sunday School Kids. Sunday School Kids? You guys got it, right? We have to keep explaining that? Probably not. We got it, okay. What we did today was movement. Some days we do expressing, some days we do creating. Today we did moving. So Lady Susan here is a wonderful dancer, and she had this thing where we took a word. My word was peace. Her word was courage. Goodness. Everybody had a word. We put the word in a pitcher of water and it dissolved like sugar would dissolve. And then we poured it in a glass of water and we drank it. So our word became part of us. And then whatever was left in the pitcher, we poured on our heads. It was cold, but it was okay. And then we danced that word. That's our Sunday school.
That sounds like fun. That's great. Well, I think we'll just settle for our usual verbal affirmations. We won't get into drinking and dissolving anything for this. If you can stand for our closing affirmation. There is a song of the universe, and I sing it.
There's a song of the universe, and I sing it.
There is a hymn of praise, and I praise it.
There is a hymn of praise, and I praise it.
There is a life of joy, and I live it.
There is a life of joy, and I live it.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Now we'll finish.